It's
Okay.
Miami Dolphin fan, let me ask you something. Do you love the Dolphins? Do you think they are the greatest football team? How about the greatest show on surf? If you answered yes to any or all of these questions, then fins up and surfs up to the greatest show on surf.shop today. Celebrate the most explosive offense in the NFL with this awesome exclusive merch. From jackets, hats, shirts, and more, they have it all. Use promo code FINSTALK and save 15% on your order. Show off your fandom. Don't wait. Go to thegreatestshowonsurf.shop today.
Miami has the Dolphins, the greatest football team. We take the ball from goal to goal like no one's ever seen. We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And
All right, as always, Dolphins number one, baby!
So fins up to all you guys. Thank you for
I just want everybody to remember, we may not always agree on everything Miami Dolphins, but there's one thing we do agree on, is we are all Dolphin fans. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. For another great show tonight, I got my buddy Rob Mosley, a.k.a. Dolphin Thirsty, and we have a special guest tonight, our resident in the trenches specialist, analyst, Michael Vogel. How you doing, Michael?
Guys, I'm doing great. It's good to be back on with you guys. Draft season is here, even though the Super Bowl hasn't really happened, but draft season, can't wait for it.
I got you. I know you're a busy bee, probably doing a lot of research in the draft and all
Trying
that. Kind
to, yeah.
Good stuff. And I want to welcome everybody into the chat that's in there tonight. Appreciate you all for joining. Please hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, if you're listening, if I don't see you in the chat, but you are new, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. Well, guys, first off, Rob, what do you got going on at Dolphin Thirsty?
hey, just doing what I always do, just having fun talking about the Dolphins on my YouTube channel and .com channel, dolphinthirsty.com, and always on YouTube growing. Just getting close to 600 subscribers, which I call teammates. So growing slowly over here on YouTube, but always fun talking to fellow Dolphin fans.
Hey, Rob, you came up on my my YouTube Shorts one day.
That's funny. That's cool.
Yeah, I was like, I
need to do more shorts more often. I don't do it. Hey, Ray Finkel.
Anthony. I haven't done it either in a while either. But Rob, I wanted to make mention too, man. Anybody that's in the chat tonight, you got to go over there, check out Dolphin Thirsty. He's got a great show in the mornings. And also, I believe you have Dolphin Diaries with Courtney.
Yeah,
as well on
Monday
the channel.
nights at 7:30.
At Monday nights at 7:30. So that's
great.
Yep.
Yeah,
she is good, dude.
Yeah, she knows her stuff. She knows her
Yes,
stuff.
she does.
But I also wanted to make mention, Rob. You started, man, with zero subscribers, and that's been what, almost a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah,
now,
year and a half. So slow building, but it's been fun.
Yeah, and you've done it the right way, man. You've done it organically. No gimmicks, nothing. It just straight talk about the Miami Dolphins coming from your heart. You've been a fan for a lot of years as well as I have, and it is all coming from your heart. And I think that's why your show's so great, because it's all coming from your heart, your feelings, and you're showing your loyalty to the Miami Dolphins, and that's great. So,
well, kudos to both of you too for the same thing. I
appreciate you in the community.
Thank you.
Anyway, I wanted to talk tonight about, as you can see down at the bottom, I don't know if you want to bring that up, Rob, where it says Trouble in Paradise. I put something in there, Trouble Brewing or Trouble in Paradise.
Yeah, it's in there. It's in there.
Trouble Brewing in Paradise.
Trouble Brewing in Paradise. And I say that because is there trouble brewing in paradise in the Miami Dolphins organization? I think there I really truly believe that I believe Chris Greer. I believe Mike McDaniel. Now, don't get me wrong. I like McDaniel as a coach, as a head coach, play caller, that type of stuff. But as far as holding his players accountable, not very good. I do not like that. He's very lackadaisical with his players, too social worker type, counseling type. And I'm not saying there's not a need for that. Okay. At proper times, there's a need for that. But it seems, he has lost control. In my opinion, he has lost control of this team and the organization. When you've got players going out on a limb, making videos, kicking rocks, Jafon Holland, and saying, things about Vic Fangio, and then you've got the little emoji of the unlocked by Cam Smith and all that kind of stuff. Then you've got Tyreek and his, I'm not going to get all into that, but you know what I'm talking about. A lot of folks know what I'm talking about that's in the chat that's out there with his stuff, lying and calling BS to the Sun Centennial when it's public record. It's public record. And 6 days immediately after that, when he's called him Bull S to the Sun Centennial, his wife filed for retaining a lawyer. Okay. So you got people like that, not very good character in my book. He's lost control of this locker room because, number one, if he would have been a Don Shula, Andy Reid, most recent coaches that we all know, maybe a Vrabel or someone like that, you think they're going to allow their players to go on social media and disrespect a well-renowned defensive coordinator, whether you believe the allegations or not, and disrespect him? He's been in this league for 35, 40 years. He's only got 10 defenses in the league that use his system. Only 10. Okay? And there's others that do an offshoot or variation of his system. So he's a very creative guy. We called him a guru when we first hired him last year, right? And now you're going to let your team, your some of your players, not all of your players, but some of your players disrespect him like that, and you don't come out and say anything. Just tell them to shut up. If anything, they don't, just shut up. Then you had Blake Ferguson going on there making his comment about, I'm glad the Baltimore Ravens, lost because I didn't like it. When Chubb got hurt, they scored on us. You know what kind of team that is? That's a soft team. That's a soft team. And we're going to get into that tonight. We're going to get into the defense side of the ball tonight, and that's why I've got Michael Vogel on here. But first, before we get started, if you haven't heard by now, if you haven't seen or heard the video by now, I'm going to play it again, and you guys decide, okay? I'm going to be neutral on this. I'm not taking any side one way or the other because you know what? I'm not a fly on the wall in the room, in the locker room or in the training room or at the practice facility. So I don't know. But this is a man that Rob is going to play the video. This is a man that's played 17 years in the NFL. He's a Hall of Fame quarterback. Ron Jaworski. I watched him play. He was drafted in 1973 by the Los Angeles. I think it was the Los Angeles Rams at the time in 1973. Okay. He's been in this league a long time. He's a mogul. He's a big executive. He knows the NFL. He has a lot of connections in the NFL. He's been around in the trenches in the NFL. He knows Vic Fangio on a personal level. So I'm just going to let you listen to the video, and then I'm going to have Rob and I'm going to have Michael comment on the video. And they don't have to agree or disagree, but what do they feel about it? That's all I'm going to say. Go ahead, Rob.
As the Dolphins players speaking out against him, I can't stand Drew Rosenhaus. I'll still hold him responsible for the TO thing 20 years ago. But Drew Rosenhaus going public, which is sort of unusual for an agent to do so about a coordinator that got whacked, or they moved on from, if you will. Does that give you some pause, or is that just the modern athlete, and does he need to do a better job from what you surmise of dealing with them?
it impacts you 0%. Coach is coach. And, I have connections as well around this league. And, I hear another side of that story, that there were some players on that defense that didn't want to work, didn't want to put the time in, didn't want to put the effort in, didn't want to make the commitment to be successful. Guys like to party at night. And, South Beach is a really great place to party. And Vic tried to get those guys to push those guys to become harder workers and better athletes and more committed to their team. And he couldn't get through to those guys. So those are the guys that Vic was pushing, and they're the guys that are whining right now.
Coaches coach. Coaches coach. Players play. Rob, Michael, I'm going to ask you a question. I'll start with you, Michael.
Okay.
If you went into you work for a school, right?
Yep.
Okay. And you went into the school and you said, hey, I don't like my principal. I don't like the way he runs the ship. I don't like how he does his job. I don't like the way he treats me. What would happen to you, Michael?
Wouldn't have a job much longer. It's either him or me, and he's got tenure. I don't. So, I mean, that would, and I know the NFL is a different breed altogether. It's right. Obviously, I think we all seen recent times that the players, not just in Miami, but across the league in general, things are just done differently now because, if you want to call it, mental health or whatever, but there's, for me as a coach there and players that you play with, like to me, it's just a maturity thing. Like, like with the kick rocks thing, like I get it. You weren't a big fan of his, but like, what's the point of doing that? Like, what are you trying to prove? Right. And kind of to your point, Steve, is if there's not trouble in the locker room, and if he hasn't lost the team, this stuff like this makes it feel like he has, when you just, and like with the Tyreek thing and, like players just kind of doing their own thing, or wasn't it even after the game against the Chiefs, like some of the players had Chiefs players in our locker room after the game, like, yes. Yeah, like stuff like that to me on a high school level, we're kind of in a city where, we have 2 or 3 different schools that are all, a lot of these kids were friends growing up and all that stuff. And, we're not going to let you walk into our locker room and just hang out and party and that type of thing. So to me I do feel, because that's the first time I had heard that clip. And it does, I do feel that there's always, where there's smoke, there could be fire. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. And I appreciate you for your take and being honest. Rob, let me ask you this question. You used to be in law enforcement. If you went into the law enforcement, right, and you had your team meeting, right, in the mornings when you get ready to go out on patrol or whatnot, right? Correct? Okay. And you went in there and, your boss didn't like the way, you might have missed a little bit when you didn't shave or something, or right. You went and corrected you. You just didn't like his attitude that he had towards you or whatnot. And would you go, what would you, and you went into your boss and said, hey man, I don't like the way you're treating me. I put the work in every day. I do my 8 hours. I go out there and I do my job, but I just don't like the way you're treating me. What do you think he would say to you?
He would say, go shave and shut up. So that's it. That's what he would say,
Yeah.
and that would be the end of it. But, but I get your point. I understand it, Steve. I know where you're coming from, right? Like Vogel pointed out, athletes as a whole completely different thing. And it's a different day and age. I'm sure some of those players, if they had social media back in the 80s and stuff like crazy Joe Rose, he probably would have
could you imagine Lawrence Taylor if he had social media?
I know. And so there's a lot of guys that would probably rip their do stuff like this. So it's just a different day and age. I mean, people like you and I now can have a channel and a talk about the Dolphins. A few years ago, we couldn't even do this. Right. No one would care. Now, we see something that we don't think Omar Kelly said right. We can come. We may not have as big as audience, but we can still find we can go out there and vent, and some people will find our side of things.
Right.
So times have changed on that.
To me, it's just communicate. Like if you have an issue with Fangio and you go to the head coach and just have a conversation, be like, look, I just, I'm not going to publicly shame him or tell him to kick rocks or anything like that. I just wanted you to know how I feel. We all want to get to the Super Bowl. I'm not sure he's the DC to get us there. It's just me letting you know as the head coach how I feel. I'm going to do whatever I need to do to make this team successful. I think there's, I just feel like the only way athletes are communicating these days are on social media, and that's how they're.
Yeah.
Like, who was it for the Chiefs that was deactivated or whatever, couldn't play?
Right.
Had a whole Instagram live going about how he wasn't hurt, and the Chiefs were lying about it and stuff. And it's
I remember that. Yeah, yeah.
What do you like? I don't just social media is just we've seen on X. It's a Twitter keyboard warrior.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy access.
Sometimes
it's easy.
People just say stupid stuff, and then they probably realize later, oh, I shouldn't have said that. Which in the old days, you had that time for a filter.
Yeah,
you'd be all mad at home, saying, "Oh, I'm getting there. I'm going to tell Don Shula." By the time you drive there, you realize, oh yeah. But on social media, you can just say when you're mad, and you can.
That's a good point, Rob. Because right after Blake Ferguson made that comment, 3 minutes later he deleted it.
Right. So
he said, "Uh-oh, what did I just say? Right. I just threw my team under the bus."
Yeah, no, he did, and he realized, man. That's just what happens, man. And like he was saying, and you got to remember in this whole Fangio thing, because you brought up my line of work, and in that line of work, I would often go to domestics, and we always said there's going to be what she said and what he said, and both of them are going to be some of them tell the truth, and some of them are going to be telling you some of lies. Somewhere in the middle, it's the truth of what really happened.
Mm-hmm.
So. And that's just on this whole Fangio. Maybe the players did go out, maybe they didn't, and Fangio was just wanting to tell his buddy, making an excuse on why he wanted to get out of Miami, saying, "Oh, these guys don't care." Makes him look easier for quitting his job in the middle and wanting to get out. Then it's also maybe the players. It's easy for them as now he's gone, knowing that he's not going to control their playing time in the future now. So there's both sides to both.
Yeah, absolutely, Robin. You make some fair points, man. You make some really fair points. But we'll see. You know why I say we'll see? Because Cam Smith made that little emoji unlock. Well, we'll see. Let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is. Just like I said,
Courtney's been saying free Cam Smith for a lot longer than he's been saying.
I know. But just like I say about Tua, right? And this is not an offensive show tonight, but just like I say about Tua, show me the money. Show me the money. Cam. You just unlocked yourself, right? Show me the money, baby. Because I know last year, Channing Tindall on defense, right? The linebacker, he didn't get any play time with Fangio either. And neither did he get any play time with Boyer as well.
Yeah.
That's 2 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, enough of that. We're going to get into the meat of what we were going to talk about tonight. And that's about, ladies and gentlemen, the Miami Dolphins are in cap hell right now.
Yeah, they are.
I really don't think a lot of fans realize the cap hell we're in. We've been so spoiled the last so many years with Joe. I was going to say Joe Robbie. When Stephen Ross opens up his wallet and just says, "Here, man, get me who you need, Greer. You made the mistakes. You clean it up. I'm going to give you the money. Hide the mistakes you made. Go out and get Chubb. Go and get Terron Armstead. Go, whatever he had to do to cover up his mistakes." In my opinion, this is the last year. If we can't even win a playoff game this year, Greer, McDaniel, I would be sad to see him go. Tua, gone. Unless we sign him to a long-term contract. But we'll get into that when we do our offensive segment. But we are in cap hell. Just to give you guys an example, right? Just a really easy example to go by. Christian Wilkins, okay? Chris Greer already said we're going to let Chris Greer, he's going to test the waters, They made him the offer and all that stuff. And so he's going to go test the waters. Number one, I think we're going to lose Christian Wilkins this year. I really do. I'm not paying him $25 million for his position. I'm not. Just not going to do it if that was me. I don't know about Chris Greer, but I know I wouldn't. But here's the bottom line, what I'm going to say. We're $52 million over the cap, right? If you franchise, say they decided to franchise Christian Wilkins, you franchise him, what is it, $24,000, $1 million?
$20 million. Yeah, right around the 20 million mark.
All right, let's say 20 million. Right off the bat, your cap is now $73 million over. You see? You see the cap hell we're in?
Yeah, but they have to free up that money before they can actually put the franchise tag. So
I understood.
I know what I'm saying.
But
so, I know what you're saying. You're making a picture of what the problem is. I know.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and let's talk about this, Michael and Rob. These are the free agents on defense, specifically defense tonight. Number one, Christian Wilkins. We don't know if what's gonna happen with him. I say he's probably walking. AVG, is he gonna go with Fangio? Because Fangio liked him. He was a Fangio type of guy. Raekwon Davis, I think he's gone. Eli Apple, gone. X, probably gone. Justin Bethel, he can go. Eli Campbell, he can go, easily replaceable. Deshaun Elliott, he was a starter. Brandon Jones, he was a starter at one time, and he was a spot player this year. He rotated in and out. Nick Needham, we were just talking about him earlier, Rob.
Yep.
He might be gone. So that's 10 total on defense alone. And out of those 10, Christian Wilkins, AVG, Raekwon Davis, Eli Apple, X, Deshaun Elliott, all starters this year. All starters.
Well,
so
X isn't technically a free agent. They have to cut him post June 1st. But
yeah, good point. I'm sorry. You corrected me on that, and I appreciate that, Rob. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah,
but he was talking about in his interview, he doesn't think he's not going to reconstruct his contract. He's not getting it. He don't want a pay cut.
No.
So that means they've already talked to him.
Yeah.
So he's probably gone. And guess who was his replacement and was supposed to be?
What, Cam Smith?
Cam Smith.
Right.
Okay.
Well, he better step up.
He's going to have to. Yeah. Go ahead, Rob. What were we going to say?
I was just going to say, this is his year to prove he has to step up. This is his second year. If he really says Fangio was the one restraining him or whatever, that then this is his chance to prove that he belongs in the league and play like a second-round pick supposed to play. So this is his year 2. So we will see.
Yep.
Time will tell, as they say.
That's right. That's right. And then we've got Javon Holland. Although he's not a free agent, his 5th-year option is coming up. We've got to pay him. He's already said that it's time for him to get paid.
Oh.
He already said this himself. And we've got an injured guy, Jalen Phillips, who probably won't be back until late October, maybe early November, and we don't know how he's going to come back, what shape he'll be in. He's up for his 5th-year option as well. Are we going to pay him too?
Oh, Jalen Phillips.
Jalen Phillips.
Yeah, Jalen Phillips and Waddle are. And so.
Well, Waddle on the offense side, there's another one.
I know, but I'm saying, but it's only first-round picks. So Holland's not on a 5th. They can't even 5th-year option him. It'd just be the end of his contract. So.
Yeah, well, the end of his contract, right?
Right. So that's why I wasn't sure who we were talking about.
Yeah, Jalen. Yeah, Javon Holland, and I appreciate you again correcting me.
I wanted to do it in private back there, but I make mistakes all the time, and you correct me.
No, you're good. I don't mind. I'm authentic on this show, man.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not trying to hide anything. If I'm wrong, you let me know. Also, so Michael, let me get your thoughts just on those players that I made mention and the players that we're possibly going to lose. How are we going to replace them, Michael?
You're gonna have to go through the draft. You have to. Like I'm tired of the Chris Greer I can get this injured guy at a discount. I can get this injured guy on a discount. I can get this injured guy on a discount. And then like we've got to start getting younger. You know, like we need to get, and I want guys on the offensive line that play on center. I don't want somebody patchworked center in there. I want an official center. I want guys that play guard and guys that play tackle. And that to me, I mean, you have to build through the draft unless you're one piece away, and you can trade the 21st pick for, that piece to bring it in. But you just rattled off 12 different guys that.
I'm with you, Vogel. And when they started this whole rebuild, I remember them saying, we're going to do it different this time. And somewhere they ventured off the wrong side of the road because they said, this time we're not going to do the splashy stuff. We're going to rebuild it and do something that we can be longer sustainable, winning for longer windows and stuff. But then they went off because they made
Chris Greer falls back into what's comfortable. The same thing with Mike McDaniel when he's calling plays.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2. We got Mostert, just hand the ball off, get the first down. But no, we're going to throw it incomplete pass, 4th down. They resort to what's comfortable. I've been a huge McDaniel fan. I would like to keep him around at least next year to see. But like Greer, it breaks my heart when I watch the Dolphins draft offensive linemen. And yes, I agree, Mike. They need to go after Jackson Powers Johnson with that 21st pick. There is nobody on the open market that I want at that 21st. I don't want you giving the 21st pick to Kansas City for name a player.
Okay, can I ask you this, guys? Both of you. This is a question directed toward both you guys. Okay. Now I forgot what I was going to say. Hold on.
Well, I got something I wanted to say.
Go ahead, Rob.
I was going to say you brought up a good point when you said make a trade with Kansas City. Listen, as good as Tyreek Hill, I know we're not just real quick because we're talking defense. Mm-hmm. But we all said we won the trade. We got Tyreek Hill, and he's been good for us. But the last I checked, Kansas City's in back-to-back Super Bowls without Tyreek Hill.
That's what I was going to do. You took the words right out of my mouth. Go ahead, Rob. You're
That's
cooking.
It. That's all I was going to say.
No, you're cooking, man. Go ahead.
That's it. We're not necessarily winners. Was it a good? I mean, Miami got a good player. I'm not gonna.
I think the one benefit of Tyreek, the one benefit for me is that he came in and he was 1,000,000% behind Tua.
Right.
When everybody else is saying bad, he came in. He's very focused. He's got and I think Tua needed that. Now, is it enough to get us?
You're right.
And I think, and I know we're trying to do a defensive show, but just personally, I feel like when Tyreek put out into the universe that he wanted those 2,000 yards, I do feel like Tua was a lot more laser focused on Tyreek and trying to get him the ball. And those games that Tyreek wasn't in there, we did really well, scored a bunch of points, and spread the ball out, spread the ball around. So. Yeah,
I agree, Michael. And we're not, like I said, we're not talking offense, but and that's okay if you want to interject a little offense. That's fine. This show's not a strict format.
That's for sure.
But what I was gonna say was, and you brought up Tyreek, and I know folks are gonna try to shoot me down on this. What if you were to trade Tyreek and get some draft capital? Because right now he's top of the line value. The only problem is who's going to pay him $31 million a year, right? When you've got wide receivers, listen to this. When you've got wide receivers in Kansas City, their whole wide receiver core is not making $31 million a year.
Right. I love Tyreek, but I mean, in essence, he took Jalen Waddle's spot. Because Jalen Waddle was the Tyreek of this offense and did very well his rookie year.
That's right.
So
exactly. It was Cedric Wilson that was going to be the number 2. And like you said, Waddle was going to be number 1. That was the original intent, right, Michael?
Yeah. But as what I see it, yeah.
Go ahead, Rob.
But I'm looking at over the cap, and they said if we trade him pre-June 1st, we still have a $33 million dead hit money, and we only saved $2 million off the cap.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see if we trade him post June 1st.
Right.
We have an $11 million cap hit, but we do save $20 million. So
look, anything is possible. You know,
I know anything possible. I'm just going to let you know because I want to always like to see the
no,
numbers.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Oh, see, I knew Scotty was in the room. That's why I was trying to beat him to it.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. But no, anything is possible, right? Now, I know a lot of folks wouldn't want to see Tyreek go because a lot of folks are tied to the player, you know. But we're not trying to win a Super Bowl for Tyreek. We're trying to win a Super Bowl for the team, for the whole team, for the organization, not just Tyreek. But anyway.
But with that thought, but they're not going to trade away Tyreek because they think they probably give a better chance with him on the team. So that's going to be their philosophy, especially with those cap hits that they're going to take.
Right. Okay, so here are the question marks I'm gonna present to you guys. Cam Smith, question mark.
Yep.
Channing Tindall, question mark.
Yeah, he's almost off the question mark at this point.
Yeah.
He's like a lifetime special teams player.
And here's a guy that wasn't even drafted, Ethan Bonner, who started before Cam Smith even saw the field in a playoff game in Kansas City. Ethan Bonner, undrafted cornerback. Still a question. We've only seen a very small sample size of him, right? Fast, he's a burner. Fast as Tyreek.
And they signed him to a futures contract already, so he's on the team next year.
Yep, he's going to be on the team, so maybe that's promising. We'll see. And then you all remember Brandon Peely. He signed a futures contract as well. He will be on the team. Who's he going to replace? Is he going to replace Raekwon Davis, or is he going to replace Christian Wilkins, another undrafted free agent?
Yep.
What's your take on this? Those names I just read off, Michael?
I mean, like you guys had said, like with the futures contract, there's only so much you can do. Tyndall, I mean, at this point, I think we've seen what we've seen, right? He's not really fitting in on the defensive side anywhere. And, you know, now he's going to come in with a third new defensive coordinator, you know, and if the year starts and he's, exactly what Josh Wingate said. Yeah. Situational blitzer. Yeah. They haven't found a role for him, you know, like we need to, I mean, if Greer's going to get it right, it's got to be, you're going to have to sign the guys that you can absolutely sign. As much as I would want to keep Wilkins because I think he's a great locker room guy and has a ton of energy. And whenever the offense scores, he's the first one out on the field to congratulate him. Absolutely. I just don't, you know, I think there are teams that are, you know, one good whole stuffer away from being a good playoff team, and they're going to offer him what Miami can't because of the cap situation. You know, it would be great for him to go out and see and be like, oh, well, the only team that's going to offer me that's the New York Jets, and they, you know, the New York Tax will take a chunk of that and then come back from Miami. So I'm hopeful in the fact that, you know, he's not gone yet. He's not gone until he's gone, basically. You know,
no doubt. This is just all, you know.
It like you said, it is hell. It is hell as far as and what we've gotten ourselves into.
Vander is it Vanderberg? Yeah, he's a linebacker, right? Yeah. Yep. I remember him. He got hurt, I believe, last year.
Yeah.
But Rob, what's your takes on this? How about what do you think? We got you already talked about Cam Smith, Channing Tindall, Ethan Bonner, Brandon Peely. What's your take?
Yeah, some of these young guys are going to have to step up. The lower priced young guys are going to have to step up into more important roles moving forward because of the cap situation you've already brought up. They have to draft well. We don't even have a third and a fourth round pick because the third's gone for the tampering, the final punch of the tampering, and the fourth is for Ramsey or whoever it was for. I forget one of the guys we got in the move. So we just don't even have those picks. So it's tough, man, to build a team. And we had no first round picks last year. The previous year we had no first second, and our first pick was in the 3rd round with
Yeah.
Kendall. So it's hard to build a winner when you're all in and you're very top heavy with star power that you gave the big contracts to. You got to draft well. If you're gonna, it's all fine and well to go like Mr. Coach Vogel said there. If you're going to draft well and you want to get that one big free agent because, for whatever reason, you haven't hit at that position and you're like, okay, let's go get this guy or he's just extra good, then it's fine. But to build your team that way is really rough. You better win because the window's a lot smaller when you're paying Ramsey a lot of money.
Yeah.
You're paying Chubb a lot of money and you're playing because everyone always wants to talk about, oh, they got Hill, they got Chubb, and they got Ramsey, but they don't forget the big bag of money now that you got to keep with the bottom guys on these rosters.
Oh, and I didn't even mention Ogba.
Yeah.
Emmanuel Ogba.
And they're gonna he's a cut for sure. It's bad because we need edge rushers so bad, but we're probably gonna have to cut him just because he does save you a lot of money.
Yeah, and then we got Jerome Baker as well.
Yeah, he's gonna probably be another cut. So
yeah. So here is the projected starting lineup for the Miami Dolphins next year, as of now, as we speak. Okay, we're going to need 2 edge rushers.
Yeah,
because Phillips and Chubb will not be starters at the beginning of the year, at least for 4, 5, 6 games, maybe longer. Okay, we're only making educated guesses here. We don't know. People say, "Oh, well, he's going to come back at this time or that time." You got to remember.
I've seen some people say September, but that's hard to know on those. Achilles is hard to know.
It's tough. But here's the other thing too, and you would probably know this, Coach Vogel. They're not small guys. These are big guys.
Yeah.
280 pounds, 270, 6'6". What do they do? What do they do for a living? They push off their back foot. They push off their legs, right? And so they're going to have to do that.
Yeah.
And they're not like Jalen Ramsey, small guy, 190, well, too big to me, 210, 205 or something like that. These are guys that are big, huge guys. Got a lot of weight to carry around.
Not like Rodgers and his Achilles as a quarterback where you're moving like that all the time anyway.
Right.
And you're more of an upright position. Those, the Phillips, is in that low position pushing off that back foot. Yeah. So you don't want to rush that back. And I love him. I think that he has done a phenomenal job and I would love
He's
to
a
keep
motor.
him around.
He's a motor.
I mean, he has some, in my opinion, and I know he has some Jason Taylor type tendencies to make the plays on the quarterback, which is a huge deal. So
yeah,
I'm interested to find out who we're gonna who the defensive coordinator is going to be. But the one thing that I did want to say about these young players is so with Mike McDaniel, I felt like he has done a good job. Right. So most of the year we had a top 5 offense.
Right.
And we had people on the offense that probably wouldn't start anywhere else on other teams. So he has been able to find guys to plug into his system to get out there and produce. So with the defensive guys, it's kind of the same thing. We need a defensive coordinator that's going to come in and see some of these young guys. It's the Dan Campbell approach to the Lions. We're going to take guys that nobody wants, and we're going to draft the guys that we want. We're not going to worry about anybody else. And, they get all the way to the NFC Championship game and should have won it, to be honest. It's got to be that level of coaching. We got to believe that these players the young players that we don't have to pay,
Well, and Michael, you brought up a good point. You mentioned the coach, who the defensive coordinator is going to be. Well, so far I've got some confirmations of who they have interviewed, and I don't know if they do plan on interviewing Texans linebacker coach Chris Griffin, I believe, or Giffen.
Yeah, Giffen.
They've already interviewed Anthony Campanelli, right? Which he's an internal source, Miami. Ryan Slowick, another Miami guy. Bobby Babbage, but he's out.
Right.
He's going to be with Buffalo, so he's out of the question. Brandon Staley, I don't know what happened to him, but he was interviewed. Leslie Frazier, and then the latest is Anthony Weaver from Baltimore. I think he was a defensive.
He was defensive line coach, and he was a defensive coordinator for 1 year for the Texans.
1 year.
Wasn't a great defense, but he's good and he has gritty. They say he really loves tough-nosed football, which you love, Steve. So that will fit up.
Does he? What does he play? A 4-3?
Well, I would have to go back to. I don't know what he played in.
Do you know what he plays, Michael? Yeah, I don't either.
He was only a coordinator 1 year in Texas, so I would have to look that up. I don't know what they played that year.
All right. Out of all everyone that they've now, I know who probably the fan favorite is and who the Dolphins favorite is. Mr. Softy, Anthony Campanella, who made the big heroic speech at Hard Knocks.
Okay, I'm going to put you in a room alone with him and say, Softy.
I'll knock him out, no doubt. But here's the thing. Leslie Frazier's the guy I'd like to see out of that bunch. That's just my take. I don't know how about you, Rob? We'll start with you. Who would you like to see out of the bunch that I just named?
I'm kind of Weaver has piqued my interest a little bit because of what they say that the players in the Ravens loved playing for him. I know you don't like that many stuff, but they love him and they say he's. Yeah. And you can see the Ravens are tough, but they didn't look maybe as tough.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
But all year they kick butt.
Yeah.
And so that name interests me. Even Staley, I know a lot of people don't like that name, but he interests me too. And yes, Frazier is obviously, I think, just like Fangio was a leader in the clubhouse last year. I think that's, if you ask most fans, they probably say Frazier. But then are we going to get into more? Is he going to be the same way? Is he going to be like a repeat of Fangio? And then we're in the same situation next year. So, but
yeah, very good point. Very good point, because our team doesn't like hard coaches; they like softies.
Yeah.
Okay. Getting back, I mentioned that because Coach Vogel brought that up, and I had it there, so I thought I'd bring it up and we talk a little bit about.
You again like Vogel? I missed who you like. You like?
Well, so the thing about the Baltimore guy that interests me a little bit is there's a couple guys on that defense that are free agents this year that if he came on board, like I think
that's
Queen,
one
of the linebackers.
Oh wow,
I
Queen
think is really I think
he's a dog, man.
Yeah, I think if he came over, you could get just because he knows the players and
we need linebacker.
The thing with Frazier that I like is he knows the inner workings of that Buffalo Bills locker room. He knows what gets to Josh Allen. He knows what doesn't get to Josh Allen. And I want somebody that can. I mean, you see the Bills when they go against some of these other teams, and you're just like, why can't what is it about our defensive coordinators that and Fangio's never been able to stop Josh Allen. If you go back,
you're right.
You're right. Denver,
yeah,
it was just him, putting
he wasn't able to stop Mahomes either.
No,
Mahomes in the first year that he played, he was able to slow down Mahomes a little bit, but then Mahomes caught on to it and said, "You know what? I'm going to dink and dunk and be patient."
Yeah,
and that's how he's beating him.
Yeah,
but
I want a little of the both. Like I want the play it safe at times, but then I also believe in the all-out, the zero blitz.
I agree, Scotty.
At an inopportune time, just to mess with.
And I agree with you. And in that last game for the AFC East title against Buffalo, I thought the times we did blitz Josh Allen, we got him off his game a little bit. And didn't go to it enough, I thought.
Yeah, so. I absolutely agree.
Yeah,
and that's what drove me crazy. Yeah, and then you find out shortly thereafter that he's leaving Miami, and you're just like, were you even really dialed into that game? Because
that's true. That's a good point. And going back to Fangio and his blitzing, he only blitzed 22% of the time.
I know.
Last year.
And the one game that drives me insane is Tennessee. We're up 14 points with 3 minutes left to go in the game, and we're not going to blitz a rookie quarterback.
I know.
I mean, that just, you beat Tennessee, you get your 2 seed, you get your 2 home field advantage.
Yeah, I know. And I'd rather, at least if you get killed by the blitz, you said, okay, the rookie beat me. That's football.
Yeah, right.
But at least, don't just sit back and cater to him.
And just let him dink and dunk and athlete
and run on you.
Yeah, and run on you, exactly.
He's a mobile running quarterback.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about the edges. Linebacker, we have David Long. He was a dog in the run game, not very good at passing game, pass coverage. And Fangio made a comment about him in training camp, if you all recall, last year, where he said they were commenting about David Long, and he said, yeah, he's good. He gets around, he flies around, but he's got to be better. He's got to be more consistent.
Yeah.
And that showed in some of these big games. He wasn't consistent.
Right.
Then I mentioned Jerome Baker, but he's probably gone. That's a question. I have a question mark by his name. That's only 2 starting linebackers, man, we have at the present time. And Jerome Baker might be going. And all we're going to have is Channing Tindall, the guy that Scotty mentioned, Vanberg.
Yeah.
I think he was undrafted free agent. And our favorite, Duke Riley.
Unfortunately, it's sad to say, but there's no really big loss at the line. You can probably get replacement players for them, unfortunately.
For less money. Good, solid linebackers for less money than you're paying Jerome Baker. Correct. I agree. I agree.
Yeah, he knows Riley's still on he's just saying that he's
Riley's still on the roster. I know he is. I'm just saying he's one of the starters right now because we have no other linebackers other than Jerome Baker, but we're projecting that he's probably going to go or get cut.
Yeah. No, it's tough, man. That's there's a lot of work to be done on that cap. They will get it done because they probably rework Tyreek's contract again, and they'll probably.
You think he's going to take a pay cut and kick the can down the road?
It won't be a pay cut. They would just kick more money down the road and give him guaranteed.
You're going to kick the can down the road again. But anyway, here's the safeties. Javon Holland. He might want to get paid. He might hold out this year. He wants to get his money. He already said, I want my money.
Yeah.
And then you've got Kader Ohu, another undrafted free agent who we were all high on last year.
Yeah.
This year he got exposed a little bit. He wasn't as good as he was last year, that's for sure. Still a solid backup, I think, but he's projected as a starter right now. Because I'll tell you why. Cornerback, he won't be here next year, in my opinion. Jalen Ramsey, he'll be here probably. I'm sure he will. And that's it, guys. We only have two safeties, right? Because Justin Bethel, Elijah Campbell, Deshaun Elliott may not be here. Brandon Jones may not be here. Now, Nick Needham, he played the slot, right?
When he played, he hardly played at all this year.
When he played,
when he played, yes.
So he's kind of a corner / safety kind of guy, right?
I liked him back when he played, man. He was pretty good. Too. For whatever reason, Fangio didn't like him, and he got hurt.
He was hurt. He was hurt. Maybe that.
But this year he came back, but they just never. It took him a little while to come back, and he never worked himself into playing.
Right, right.
I'm not saying he's all pro, but he's really good. But he's a free agent, so some team.
I like this game. And then defensive tackle, we know who we have. We have Zach Sealer, and he's already signed a contract, so he's not going anywhere. And then we're probably not going to have Christian Wilkins, so we're going to need right off the bat, guys. Yeah. This is what people don't understand. Oh man, we're going to be great. Oh man. Two edge rushers because they're not starting in the beginning of the year. We're going to need linebackers, couple, 2 or 3. We're going to need about 3 or 4 safeties. And we're going to need a cornerback, a starter. And we're going to need another defensive tackle. Are we going to get a defensive tackle that's comparable to Christian Wilkins?
No problem.
Are we going to get a cornerback that's comparable to X?
Probably not. But
are we going to get a linebacker?
Probably not, because I know Courtney might be in here, and if I say anything other than that,
she's in here. She's already said Keep X.
Yeah, so I can't do any Courtney's. I mean, X slander.
So there's where we stand on the defense, guys, and I haven't even gotten to the offense yet.
Yeah, and we only have like 5 draft picks.
Yeah.
Well, we've got a first, a second, right? And we don't have a third and fourth. And we have a 5th, 6th, and 7th. Yeah. And no compensatory picks? Compensatory picks? Yeah. We don't have any of them. So we're in a heap of trouble, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, trouble in paradise.
We're just keeping it real talk.
Keeping it real, man. Trouble in paradise. Michael, before we close out the show tonight, I want to get some last words on how do you feel, talking about the defense specifically, how do you feel about this defense going forward this year? Do you think it's going to be better? I know we can't really, say because we don't know who we're having as the defense coordinator, who we're going to hire or whatnot. You think it's going to be better, or you think it's going to be worse than last year?
I mean, I don't know how you're going to be better if you're losing Wilkins and a linebacker and possibly X. Those are a lot of bodies to replace. I mean, it can happen. You can get guys through free agency that can fill in as well. But and who else? Yeah, and the money, exactly. So I mean, it's hard for me to
Johnny
see
Manziel.
Yeah, it's hard for me to see it at this point in time on January 30th. Now ask me again during OTAs and what that looks like and the players that we have then. But it just and who's the defensive coordinator? Do you have somebody that can come in that's a good communicator and can get these guys fired up and playing and stuff? Everybody was high on Flores, but I mean, how many damn points did he give up to Buffalo as a defensive coordinator? So, just right now, and I'm a super optimistic person to begin with, but
I know you don't sound very optimistic tonight, Michael.
Right, but because when you talk it out like that, when you have a conversation like we've had tonight, and you put all those names on the board, so we may have to get rid of some people. So find guys. And if we need to trade some guys, trade them to get some draft capital and start building again. Because we're going through, I think Brett even said one time about, I thought we've done this rebuild once already in the last 3 years. Now we're in the middle of doing it again.
Well, we're going through a 6-year rebuild.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the frustrating part, guys, because you see some of these other teams and it's just like they have a little rebuild, but they're already back winning playoff games. And we've been talking about, we haven't won a playoff game since December 30th, 2000. And it's just like, oh, we're rebuilding, we're doing this. I don't get it. It's just very frustrating as a Dolphin fan. It's very frustrating.
Absolutely hooked up, Joe. I don't know either, my friend. That's what we're talking about tonight, man. Trouble in paradise, brother.
There's been trouble in paradise for 2 decades.
Yeah. I'm still going to support him. I'm still going to support him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I think it's boiling, not brewing. Has been.
It's boiling. You're right. Yeah. It's at the boiling point right now. We're at the tipping point right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been way too long, man. And it's like I said, when you see like the Ravens, they win a Super Bowl with Flacco, a whole other another coach, they go win a Super Bowl. And then, then this guy Harbaugh comes in and they win a Super Bowl and they were in the AFC Championship game again with yet another quarterback, and we keep on fiddling our thumbs, and it's just like it's so frustrating, man. When you think that the Chiefs have been in 6 straight AFC championships and we haven't won a playoff game since 2000. And New England, how many Super Bowls did they freaking win in that stretch? They got more Super Bowl wins than we have playoff wins since 2000.
Well, we don't have any playoff wins.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's just horrible. And then
zero.
Zero. There's so many teams with more Super Bowl wins than we have playoff wins. It's a shame that the Dolphins have become. So I get, and I try to be like Vogel. I try to be as positive as I am, but you can only get punched so many times in the face, until you just start realizing, hey, this doesn't feel so great. You know,
exactly.
No, I agree, Rob, and I'm with y'all, man. We're diehard Dolphin fans. We want the best for our team, but right now, I'm talking about right now, and like Vogel said, we're not going to know how the team really is going to be looking until training camp starts and all that, and free agency, and go through the process and all that stuff. But right now, I don't have anything optimistic to say about the Miami Dolphins. I don't. I really don't. Whether
it's a shame because right now we all joke, but whose future looks brighter right now? The Chargers or the Dolphins? They're going to have a new coach. They brought in a guy from the Ravens to work in the front office who obviously knows how to build teams. So it's just it's sad, man. And then Cincinnati's going to have Joe Burrow back. And I mean, if we couldn't win this year, it just shows how good Kansas City. Because everyone's saying, "Oh, Kansas City's not as good this year," but yet here they are in the Super Bowl back to back.
I know, man. Remember we were talking about that on the show. Now I was always the one. I think you were too, Rob. We were saying, no, wait a minute. This is still Kansas City. This is a Super Bowl team,
I always say
and they still have Andy Reid and Mahomes.
That's why I wasn't knocking Buffalo off on all my shows when people were saying, "Oh, come on, we got a magic number 3, we got a magic number 2." But I was saying, "Hey, until you beat the champs, you're not the champs." And
exactly,
absolutely. Well said.
The AFC East again, and it's just really frustrating. So that's it. But anyway, overall, I'm still, we'll see what we do. We'll see who we hire as the big next.
Scott, let me answer this. Scotty says, "Steve, I don't think I've ever heard you say anything positive. So par for the course." Yeah, that's true. That's true, Scotty. You haven't heard me say anything positive because there isn't anything positive.
Oh, you did. I have to say, during this season, you had some games after the games you were positive. You had your moments.
Yeah, I had my moments of positivity.
You even said it was him at one point during the season.
At one point I did.
So I have to think you had some, but for the most part, yes, you're a real talk Steve for a reason. So.
Yeah. So, I threw all these, both you and I, Rob, we were throwing nuggets out on the Real Talk Vince Talk show all season. All these little nuggets, all these little, comments we were making. And I know I was getting some pushback. You were getting pushback. And what happened? They all came true.
Yeah.
Right? So show me the money, Miami. Show me the money. Yeah. Anyway, guys, we got to go. I appreciate everybody that was in the chat. Don't forget, hit that like button, man. We appreciate it. It's free. We couldn't do this show without you. If you're new to the channel and you like what you've been hearing, or you don't like what you've been hearing, but we were telling the truth, and we were, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and share with your friends, your families, your neighbors. And remember, guys, we may not always agree everything Miami Dolphins, but there's one thing we can agree on. We are all Dolphins.
Amen.
With that, Rob, take it away, brother.
All right, guys. Dolphins number 1, Stu, Steve. Dolphins number 1.
You ready?
Yeah.
Dolphins number one, baby.
Dolphins number 1. There you go, Scotty.
Hey, Miami sports fans. Stop by Canesware today at 2655 South University Drive in Davie, Florida. And check out their awesome merchandise selection of your favorite South Florida sports teams. From the Miami Dolphins, Hurricanes, Heat, Marlins, Florida Panthers, and Inter Miami, they've got it all. Celebrate your favorite team and show off your fandom with their beautiful team starter jackets, killer-looking helmets, team jerseys, cool shirts, and more. And if you're out of town or out of state, no worries. Go to Canesware.com and find everything they have on their site. Select what you want, and they will ship your gear to you. Anything over $99 is shipped for free. Don't